Stop explaining every step you take. Nobody needs a speech to accept your decisions. Every time you justify why you said no, why you changed course, or why you defended your boundaries, you're giving away a piece of your power. You're not here to ask for permission. You're here to direct your life. People will always have something to say, and as long as you keep accounting for every move, you'll remain tied to their judgment. The problem is not that others ask. The problem is that you feel the obligation to give answers. This habit of giving explanations does not come from respect. It comes from the fear of being misunderstood or rejected. And that fear is what drains your energy, weakens your character, and makes you act to please, not to live with dignity. The Stoics understood it clearly. What others think is beyond your control, but your behavior, your decision, and your calm are yours. True strength is not convincing the world, but governing yourself. When you act with conviction, without seeking approval, you free yourself from the weight of others' gaze. This video is not for those who want to please everyone. It's for those who want self-respect and inner peace. You will be questioned. There will be those who accuse you of being cold or arrogant, but what you're going to discover is that serenity is worth more than any applause. Here you will learn to use silence as a defense, to decide without excuses, and to stand firm even if others don't understand. These are not pretty ideas. They are real practices to toughen your character and live with the freedom of not having to explain yourself all the time. And decide without justifying yourself. We live in a culture that confuses respect with explanation. From a young age, we were taught that to say no, to change direction, or to set boundaries, we must always have a justification ready. It becomes an automatic reflex. Before taking a step, we look for an excuse that sounds acceptable. Thus, every decision ends up being subjected to an invisible tribunal that demands reasons, even though it has no right to ask for them. This habit, rather than protecting us, erodes our freedom and makes us prisoners of the gaze of others. When you decide something, but feel the need to embellish it with explanations for others to approve, you are no longer acting autonomously, but asking for permission disguised as courtesy. This dynamic wears down self-esteem and weakens character because you cede to others the authority over your life. The Stoics had it clear. Correct actions do not require applause or defense, only the conviction of having been taken with right judgment. Imagine a captain who, before turning his ship's helm, consults the entire crew to justify his decision. He would never reach port. The firmness of a choice is not demonstrated with words, but with the coherence between what you think and what you do. Whoever decides and then feels obliged to explain every detail ends up trapped in useless debates that only feed the insecurity of others and wear down their own energy. Deciding without justifying yourself does not mean acting arrogantly or disregarding valuable opinions. It means respecting yourself enough not to beg for approval. It is the ability to say, "This is what I consider right for my life, and I do not need to disguise it for others to accept it." This stance, although it may discomfort some, is what projects true solidity. Life becomes lighter when you stop trying to convince those who do not walk by your side. The current world rewards quick reaction, immediate comment, constant exposure. In that noise, a firm and unadorned decision stands out because it conveys authority. It is not aggressive or submissive, it is stable. This stability disconcerts those who are used to everything being discussed and justified. Therefore, deciding without justifying yourself is not only an act of personal freedom, it is also a silent declaration that you know your course. The next time you feel the urge to explain why you said no, stop. Ask yourself if that explanation seeks clarity or seeks approval. If it's the latter, keep silent. Every time you give up justifying yourself for fear of the judgment of others, you strengthen your self-control. A no said with serenity, without embellishments, carries more weight than a speech full of excuses. The Stoics believed that true power lies in governing one's own character, not in winning the acceptance of others. Stand firm but reasonable. open to useful advice, but free from the need to defend every step. When you decide without justifying yourself, you not only save time and energy, you also regain authority over your life. Whoever is guided by their own judgment, with calm and coherence, does not need to convince anyone. Their presence communicates that they know where they are going, and that inspires respect even in silence. 2. Approve your steps from within. Most people walk with their eyes on others, waiting for signals to confirm whether what they are doing is right or wrong. This invisible habit of seeking approval becomes an emotional prison. You do not make decisions, you only react to gestures, words, or the silence of others. As long as you live dependent on that invisible thumb that goes up or down to validate you, your peace will continue to depend on factors that you will never be able to control. Learning to approve yourself from within is one of the deepest liberations you can experience. It means becoming the most important judge of your life, deciding that your conscience and your principles weigh more than applause or criticism. The Stoics taught that the only thing truly yours is your moral judgment, how you evaluate your actions and the meaning you give them. When that internal compass becomes clear, external voices lose power over you. The mistake is in believing that the approval of others gives us security. In reality, it only feeds dependence. Today they celebrate you, tomorrow they question you, and with each change of wind your mood wobbles. External validation is like building your house on sand. Any storm knocks it down. Stable strength arises from having your own and consistent criteria. Act according to what you know is right, even if no one recognizes it. Approving yourself from within is not closing yourself off to learning or becoming arrogant. It is an exercise in self-knowledge and respect for your own judgment. It involves asking yourself honestly, does this decision reflect my values, or am I giving in for fear of rejection? Am I doing it out of conviction or to avoid criticism? If the answer comes from your integrity, you do not need to embellish it with excuses. A consistent act has its own legitimacy, even if the world does not understand it. Imagine someone who decides to change course in their life, leave a job that no longer makes sense to them, or end a relationship that drains them emotionally. The natural impulse is usually to explain every detail to everyone, seeking their understanding and approval of their choice. But that search for approval ends up weakening the initial certainty and opens the door to unnecessary doubts. Whoever approves of themselves from within does not need to convince anyone. They are content to know that their decision honors their well-being and their principles. Practicing this mindset requires daily discipline. Start by silently congratulating yourself for the small actions that reflect your character, not for those that attract praise. Learn to tell yourself you did the right thing when you act with integrity, even if no one notices. This strengthens internal confidence and makes you less vulnerable to the mood swings or judgment of others. The Stoics held that serenity comes from living in harmony with one's own nature and reason. When you approve your steps from within, you stop being a puppet of external stimuli and become the master of your own destiny. The most powerful validation is not given in public or measured with applause. It is silent, but it holds you firm when everything around you wobbles. That is the type of approval that no praise can match and that no judgment can take away from you. 3. Breathe before you respond. Most people respond before they think. It's almost an automatic reflex. Someone questions your decision, makes a hurtful comment, or throws a criticism, and you immediately feel the need to defend yourself. The words come out charged with anger, anxiety, fear of looking bad. That impulse is what makes you end up saying things you didn't want to, explaining yourself more than necessary, and losing control of the situation. Breathing is the invisible boundary between reacting and responding with self-control. Breathing before speaking may seem like a small gesture, but it is an act of self-mastery. The Stoics knew that the mind cannot rule when the body is agitated. A deep, slow breath is a reminder that you are still in control of yourself, even though the moment provokes you to explode. Each inhalation brings you back to the present and gives you the necessary seconds to choose your words instead of spitting them out without a filter. When someone pressures you with questions or demands explanations, what they most expect is for you to react quickly, to lose your composure. By taking a pause and breathing, you break that script. It's as if you're saying without words, "I'm not going to dance to the rhythm of your provocation." That moment of calm disconcerts the other person, and most importantly, gives you back the power to decide how you want to act. Think about the arguments that become chaotic. Most do not explode because of what is said, but because of the speed with which the attacks are responded to. Conscious breathing is a simple tool that prevents emotion from hijacking your judgment. Even leaders who faced the worst crises learned that brief silence and control of breathing convey authority and calm. Practicing it in everyday life changes much more than you imagine. Before giving a difficult response at work, breathe. Before answering a message that provokes you, breathe. Before explaining a personal decision, breathe. That breath is not weakness, it's the signal that you're not going to let the moment decide for you. The Stoics taught that no one can hurt you without your consent, and that consent is given when you react without thinking. Each pause is a shield against impulsive words that later turn into regret. Over time, this practice trains your mind to maintain calm in tense scenarios. You won't have to run away or justify yourself, because you'll learn to speak from serenity. Remember, whoever rushes to respond almost always ends up defending themselves. Whoever breathes before doing so conveys strength and control. Each conscious breath is a silent reminder that your mind is in command, not the impulse or external pressure. It's the kind of self-control that isn't noticeable at first glance, but that transforms your presence and allows you to uphold your dignity even in the midst of conflict. 4. Make silence your strength. Silence intimidates more than any argument because it reveals that you don't need words to hold your ground. In a world that rewards those who speak louder and faster, remaining silent has become an act of rebellion and power. It's not the silence of fear or the one that swallows emotions. It's a conscious, chosen silence that communicates firmness without shouting. The Stoics knew that whoever masters their tongue masters a large part of their life. When someone demands explanations or seeks to provoke you, what they are really looking for is your reaction. If you respond immediately, you have already handed over control. But if you choose to be silent and observe, you change the dynamic. You show that you are not a toy of emotions or social pressure. That silence is not empty. It's a message that says, "I can remain at peace even if you try to drag me into your chaos." Silence is an invisible wall that protects your dignity. In discussions, the winner is not always the one who has the best argument, but the one who knows when not to enter the game. Many battles are avoided simply by refusing to discuss what doesn't deserve your energy. The Stoics taught that not everything deserves a response, and that often true respect is earned by demonstrating self-control in the face of external noise. Think about the times you have felt obliged to explain too much, to detail reasons to convince those who were never willing to understand. What changed with so many words? Probably nothing, except that you came out exhausted. That's where silence acts as a filter. You don't argue with someone who doesn't listen. You don't offer arguments to someone who just wants to debate out of ego. You conserve your energy for the decisions that really matter. Silence, when used well, becomes presence. It's the space in which you regain control of your mind, observe the situation, and decide with clarity. It's also a boundary. It indicates how far others can go. It's not running away from conflict, it's choosing the ground on which it's worth fighting. Whoever remains silent as a strategy is not yielding, they are preserving their strength for what is essential. Practice it in everyday moments. When someone provokes you with sarcasm, be silent and observe. When you're pressured to justify a personal choice, smile and remain silent. When the external noise tries to steal your peace, retreat inward. At first it will feel uncomfortable, because we are trained to fill every pause with words, but soon you will discover that silence creates respect and space for your authority. Make silence a habit that does not weaken, but elevates. In a world that screams, whoever knows how to be silent demonstrates that they have control over themselves. The Stoics did not seek to impose themselves with endless speeches, but with the serenity of their actions. When silence becomes your strength, you no longer need to convince. Your mere calm becomes the most powerful statement you can offer. 5. Say no firmly and without excuses. Saying no is one of the simplest acts in appearance and at the same time one of the most difficult in practice. We were taught to justify every refusal so as not to inconvenience others. We say no with a chain of explanations, with unnecessary apologies, almost asking for forgiveness for defending our own space. This habit erodes the respect that others have for us and weakens the confidence we have in ourselves. Stoicism teaches that clarity in boundaries does not need adornments. A no, said calmly and confidently, carries more weight than 1,000 reasons. When you justify yourself for saying no, you are actually giving ground. It's as if you were saying, I understand that I have to convince you in order to take care of myself. This idea is dangerous because it makes you feel guilty for protecting your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. In the end, you end up giving in to commitments you don't want, taking on tasks that don't belong to you, and enduring pressures you never asked for. Saying no without excuses is not an act of rudeness, it's an act of self-respect. Firmness is not in the volume of your voice, but in the serenity with which you maintain your stance. A calm and direct no makes it clear that you are not open to negotiations or justifications. Whoever learns to say no in this way sends a silent message. I know my limits and I defend them. This clarity is what most disarms those who try to manipulate you with guilt or persuasion. Imagine someone insisting that you participate in something that doesn't interest you. The common reaction is to find 1,000 reasons to explain why you can't. I don't have time, I'm busy, maybe later. Each explanation opens a door to pressure. We can adjust the schedule, it will only take a minute. In the end, you end up trapped in a persuasion game that should never have started. A simple no thank you, said calmly, closes that door without conflict. Stoicism proposes that our words be few but firm. Saying no firmly and without excuses does not mean being inflexible or inconsiderate. It means that your boundaries are not up for auction. When you take care of your energy, you can devote it to what really matters, and that is a responsibility to yourself and to others. There is nothing more valuable than time and peace of mind, and both are lost when you accept what you do not want just to avoid inconvenience. Start practicing it in everyday life. Clearly reject what does not add value to you, avoid long justifications, and trust in your right to decide for yourself. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, but soon you will discover that others end up respecting more those who are direct than those who get tangled up in explanations. A firm no is a wall that protects your peace. Whoever masters this art no longer needs to disguise their boundaries with excuses. Their presence communicates that they respect themselves and expect the same in return. 6. Keep calm in the face of criticism. Nothing reveals a person's character more than their reaction to criticism. Many crumble at the first negative comment. Others rush to defend themselves with endless arguments, and some respond with fury to silence the one who questions them. All these reactions have something in common. They hand over emotional control to the critic. Keeping calm in the face of criticism is an art that distinguishes those who govern their inner self from those who live at the mercy of others' opinions. The Stoics claimed that it is not the words of others that hurt, but the judgment we make about them. If you interpret every comment as a personal attack, you become a prisoner of the external voice. But if you learn to see it for what it is, an opinion, not a decree, you regain the freedom to choose how to react. Calmness does not mean total indifference. It means that you decide not to agitate your mind over something that is not under your control. The real challenge lies in not succumbing to the impulse to justify yourself. When someone criticizes you, the immediate reaction is usually to explain why you acted in a certain way, as if the value of your decision depended on convincing them. That's the trap. In the attempt to clarify, you give power to the one who opines. Keeping calm implies accepting that not everything deserves an explanation, and that sometimes silence is the most sensible response. Think of figures you admire, leaders, mentors, serene people who seem unmovable in the face of others' judgment. It's not that they lack emotions, but they have learned not to react hastily. Their serenity disconcerts critics because it reveals that their words do not manage to alter the inner center of gravity. That's the goal, to build a character so stable that neither praise elevates you nor criticism brings you down. Practicing this calm requires training the mind to distinguish between useful criticism and unnecessary noise. The useful is listened to, analyzed, and appreciated. The noise is let go without expending energy. A Stoic does not defend against every comment because they understand that the value of their actions lies in consistency with their principles, not in the approval of others. In everyday life, this means that when someone questions your decision, resist the impulse to react immediately. Breathe, listen if there is something of value in what is said, and if there is not, let the comment die without response. Each time you manage to maintain control, you reinforce your self-mastery. Remember, whoever gets upset at criticism shows that their emotions are at the service of others. Whoever remains calm demonstrates that their peace is not for sale. That calmness is more powerful than any verbal defense. The respect it inspires does not come from words, but from the silent strength of someone who knows that others' judgment does not define their value. 7. Rule your emotions before you act. A moment of rage can destroy what you've built over years. An uncontrolled word can open wounds impossible to close. Most people don't fail due to lack of opportunities, but because they act driven by emotions they don't master. Rule your emotions before you act, and you'll see how the world stops dictating your movements. The problem is not in feeling. Feeling is human and necessary. The mistake arises when you let what you feel decide for you. The Stoics did not seek to extinguish emotions. They sought to put them under the command of reason. Epictetus put it bluntly, "It's not the facts that disturb us, but the opinions we have about them." If your interpretation is tainted by anger or fear, your reaction will be just as chaotic. True power is noticeable in moments of tension. Anyone can look wise when everything is going well, but only those who master themselves shine when the pressure increases. Uncontrolled emotion is like a wild horse. It can give you strength, but if you don't know how to guide it, it will knock you down. Rule that horse and your energy will work in your favor. Before responding to an insult, posting an impulsive message, or making a decision out of spite, stop and check the state of your mind. Ask yourself, am I acting to prove something or because this is the right thing to do? That pause, brief but conscious, can save you trouble and protect your dignity. Every decision made under the control of emotions takes you away from your best version. Every action guided by calm strengthens your inner strength. Governing emotions does not mean living cold or distant. It means you choose when to show your anger, and when your compassion, you decide the tone and the moment of your words. It's turning impulse into a tool, not a chain. Serenity is not weakness. It's evidence that you have trained your mind not to surrender to the first stimulus. Practice it in your daily life. If someone provokes you, don't respond instantly. If something offends you, don't make decisions while the anger is fresh. If an opportunity excites you too much, don't sign anything until the euphoria subsides. Mastering your emotions is like cooling the metal before shaping it. Only in calm can something strong be molded. The outside world will always have something that can touch your emotions: criticisms, rejections, praises, provocations. You can't control what comes from outside, but you can control how your inner self responds. That's the true Stoic freedom, not allowing anything external to drag you out of your center. Whoever learns to govern their emotions stops living like a puppet of stimuli. Their actions begin to arise from clarity, not impulse. This mastery inspires respect, not because it seems impenetrable, but because it shows that no one has access to their decisions without their consent. Master your inner self, and no external attack can direct your life. This is the essence of the self-mastery that the Stoics defended. The mind in command, the emotions in service, never the other way around. 8. Choose self-respect over ego. There is a profound difference between respecting yourself and feeding your ego, although they are often confused. Self-respect is silent, solid, and stable. The ego is noisy, fragile, and always hungry for attention. Those who act driven by ego seek to win arguments, impress, feel superior. Those who choose self-respect seek consistency, dignity, and peace. Most justify their words and decisions not out of respect, but to protect the wounded ego, and in that process, lose inner authority. Self-respect is born from knowing and honoring your limits. It doesn't need applause or external approval, because it stands on what is essential to you: your values, your time, your well-being. The ego, on the other hand, needs constant demonstrations. It demands that you explain your actions to make it clear that you were right or that you were not weak. This habit of justifying every move is a tribute to the ego, not to your dignity. The Stoics clearly distinguished these two paths. For them, true strength consisted of being master of oneself, not of dominating others or appearing superior. When you decide to prioritize self-respect over ego, you stop spending energy on convincing people and start living with the tranquility of acting on principles, not impulses. Think about everyday arguments. Often, we are not looking to resolve anything, but to have the last word. That's the ego taking control. Self-respect, on the other hand, allows you to remain silent when you know the conversation is not worth your peace. It reminds you that you don't have to prove your worth with every response or justify every boundary you set. Sometimes the most powerful act is to step aside without explanations. Choosing self-respect over ego also means accepting that you don't always need to win. You don't need to prove that you're smarter or that your decisions were perfect. You need instead to keep your dignity intact, even if that means withdrawing from a pointless debate or admitting a mistake calmly. This attitude baffles those who confuse humility with weakness, but it is precisely there where the difference between the two is noticeable. In daily practice, this translates into simple decisions: saying no without feeling guilty, maintaining boundaries without raising your voice, not reacting to provocations that seek to inflate others' egos. It means acting in a way that you can respect yourself when looking in the mirror, even if no one else notices or applauds. That type of respect is not negotiated, it is exercised. When you choose self-respect, you regain control over your life because you no longer live to prove anything. People can criticize or misinterpret you, but their judgment does not alter your peace. The ego seeks to be seen. Self-respect only needs to be lived. And when you live with that consistency, external opinions lose power over you. That's what the Stoics considered true freedom, not depending on the gaze of others to uphold your worth. 9. Focus on what is under your control. Most of your anxiety comes from trying to control what has never been in your hands: the opinions of others, the reactions of others, the past you can no longer change, the future that has not yet arrived. The more you obsess over mastering what does not depend on you, the more you lose control over what you can govern: your mind, your actions, your attitude. This is the most powerful principle of Stoicism, but also the most ignored. The Stoics repeated that the root of suffering is not in the facts, but in our resistance to accepting the inevitable. You can spend entire nights thinking about what someone said about you, how another person will react to your decision, how unfair a situation is that you can't reverse, and none of that will change the outcome. It will only consume your energy and make you feel powerless. Liberation begins the day you decide to direct that energy towards what is really under your command. Focus on what you control, your words, your actions, the quality of your thoughts. You can't prevent others from judging you, but you can decide not to justify yourself to them. You can't control the obstacles that arise along the way, but you can control the determination with which you continue to move forward. You can't erase the past, but you can learn from it to act better today. Every time you focus your attention on your own behavior instead of the reaction of others, you regain power. The most common mistake is to believe that we need to change others to be at peace. We want them to understand our perspective, validate our decisions, treat us as we believe we deserve. That will not always happen. Real peace comes from understanding that the behavior of others does not define your worth or your destiny. As long as you keep waiting for them to change to feel free, you will remain a prisoner of their actions. In practice, this involves training yourself to let go of what you can't control. When someone criticizes your decision, remember that you can't control their opinion, but you can control your response. When the plan doesn't go as expected, accept the fact and redirect your effort to what you can adjust. When you feel tempted to justify yourself, ask yourself if doing so will change the situation. If it won't, save your words. This approach is not resignation, it's strategy. By stopping to spend forces on what does not depend on you, you multiply your capacity to act on what is in your power. That is the essence of self-discipline, directing energy towards what is useful instead of wasting it on what is impossible. Remember that even your mind needs constant training not to be distracted by what is out of its reach. Start with small steps. Each day, identify at least one situation in which you were trying to control the external and choose to let it go. That practice, repeated with discipline, builds an inner fortress that nothing and no one can take away from you. Whoever manages to focus only on what is under their control stops living as a victim of circumstances. They become more serene, clearer, and harder to manipulate. The Stoics considered this attitude the basis of all true freedom. No one can enslave those who only invest their will in what depends on them. Therein lies the self-mastery you've been seeking from the start, knowing that your peace is non-negotiable because it is protected by the strength of your own mind. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.